Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have Ritika here with us, who recently got into Societe Generale as a full-time employee, and she's here to share her interview experience with us. So Ritika is a computer science student from VIT Chennai, and before we talk to her, let's look at the eligibility criteria. So the eligibility criteria was that the student should have a 60% or a 6 CGPA above in 10th, 12th, as well as in the pursuing degree, along with no standing arrears. So now let's go ahead and talk to Ritika. Hi Ritika, welcome to my channel, and firstly congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Hi everyone, I am Ritika. I am a fourth year computer science student in VIT Chennai, and I got placed in SocGen in the August of 2021.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And you can now tell us about the placement process, like how many rounds were there and what they comprised of.
All right. So, firstly, there was a screening round, and there were various sections. I think there were about 4 sections.
Okay.
So, the first one was the mental ability, the reasoning section. They had around 10 questions in them.
Okay.
The questions were from a medium level questions.
Okay.
Secondly, there was a section of English, which was pretty easy. They had like a reading comprehension.
Okay.
And then there was a grammatically correct questions and everything. Then the third section was the technical MCQs.
Okay.
The topics were OOP, PBMS, operating system,
Hmm.
and a little bit of testing.
Okay.
Okay. And the last section was coding. We
Okay.
had 3 questions, and the questions had like the difficulty of easy to medium.
Okay.
The only thing about the test was timing, because the time was a little less.
Okay.
So, like 60 minutes were given for solving 3 questions.
Okay.
Coding. Okay.
Hmm.
So once that was done, the next day we got the shortlist.
Okay.
With people, there were around, I think around 100 people who were shortlisted.
Okay.
And then from the next day itself, we had the interviews.
Hmm.
And I had 3 interviews. So the first one was the technical plus managerial. So it started with my introduction.
Okay.
Then he went on to my resume, and he asked me to explain one of my favorite project from the resume, and I did. Like, it was a detailed explanation is what they demand.
Okay.
And then he asked me what is my favorite subject, and I told DBMS. So he asked me questions on scaling, sharding, and like the schema-based MongoDB, and what kind of database I've worked with.
Okay.
And then he asked me to explain the difference between a relational database and MongoDB.
Okay.
And then he asked me to code a question, which was a very basic standard data structures question. So after, actually that interview was a little bit scary.
Okay.
So the interview was for about an hour, and for me it got over in 40 minutes.
Okay.
So usually when an interview gets over this early, you know that you might be rejected.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I got a mail in another 15 minutes that I have been selected for the next round. And the next round happened the very same day. Now this round was actually purely technical.
Okay.
He didn't even ask for my introduction. He was like straight away shooting questions. So firstly, the interviewer asked me about my resume. He just scanned my resume. So since my projects were in Python, and he asked me which language would you like to be questioned in right now. I told Java, so he was actually a little puzzled. And then he asked me why have I made most of my projects in Python, and then I want to be interviewed in Java. I explained him that so I've been trying to learn Python while doing projects. Okay, now when he started with Java, so firstly we started from core Java, and then he went on to advanced Java.
Okay.
I didn't know a few questions, so I just told him straight away, sir, I don't know the answer to that. Then he went on to object-oriented programming, like very standard questions, and sometimes he even gave the situational questions. A little bit of thinking was required there.
Okay.
Then he asked me the questions on DBMS, the asset properties. Then again he asked me about sharding. And that was it.
Okay.
Then within another 15 minutes, I got a mail that, okay, you've been through the technical round, and now you'll be having one round again.
Okay.
And the round was on the same day.
Okay.
So after like 2 to 3 hours, there was my HR round. Now the HR round was the most fun,
Okay.
So he again he was like, okay, I have your resume in front of me. Let me ask you about any one project which you think could impact the real world. And I explained one of my projects. It was related to cybersecurity.
Okay.
And he was like, okay, the way that you explain, I can understand that you're very passionate about your project. And then it gave me some situational questions, asked me about, okay, where do you live, what are your hobbies, and who all are there in your family. And once I was done with that, it was more like a chit chat session. They try to make you comfortable, try to assess you in various situations. So they even give you like a few situations that, okay, what if we put you in the shoes of this particular developer or in this particular situation? And once you answer that question, so he was like, okay, you know what, whoever is there in your home, just call them, I want to talk to them.
God, okay.
So it was just my mother actually. So he asked my mother to come, and then he was like, oh, you know what, she has been selected.
Oh, wow.
So that is the day we got to know that, okay, I have been selected. And so I think this was a Friday. And on Monday we got the shortlisted finally that, okay, these people have been selected. So I think there were around 70 people who were selected from VIT.
Okay.
All of the 4 campuses included. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for sharing your experience. And do you have any tips or suggestions for people who want to get into Societe Generale or any good company for that matter?
Definitely. So firstly, you have to be very thorough with your resume. See, you should know your way around every single nitty-gritty of the resume. We can question you even on your co-curricular activities, on your what projects have you made. Projects are really important because that's how they come to know what you have learned throughout these years. So every single detail of the project should be known to you. You shouldn't be stuck when it comes to your resume because it's what you're giving to the interviewer as your reflection, and they will question you from that, that's for sure. So resume is very important, firstly. Secondly, I practiced from 2 websites, LeetCode and InterviewBit. But I think that you don't have to limit your sources. You cannot study from every single source. You cannot do like, I'll do LeetCode, I'll do CodeChef, I'll do InterviewBit. For me, InterviewBit was the it thing because it has limited questions and it has a variety of questions. So once you're done with that, I solved it twice. Okay, the first time it took me a lot of time, about 2.5 months to solve the whole of InterviewBit. But it gives you a lot of conceptual clarity. So once you're done solving all of those questions that's given, you gain an insight. So you're able to actually apply those concepts to solve even more complex questions. So definitely limit your sources. Select which one works the best for you based on the time you have left, based on how much time you can actually put in. And thirdly, one thing that really helped me was, so whichever company you're going to sit for, just go on the GFG page of that company, just see what kind of questions they ask, because you don't want to waste your time, preparing very hard questions for a company that will ask you easy to medium level questions, and preparing easy to medium level questions for a company that will ask hard questions. So once you see that, okay, this is the kind of questions that the company goes for, not even the kind, actually, the level of question that the company goes for, then you gain an insight. And similarly, you can do that for the interview as well, because once you get an idea, okay, you can narrow down your sources basically. So you have a limited amount of thing to study within a limited time, which is very much possible. Otherwise, it's a plethora of materials and questions and every single thing. Run behind the quality, narrow down your sources, and just do them very thoroughly.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Okay. Thank you so much again for sharing, and thank you.